Hello and a very good morning. You're with us here on Breakfast News on DD India. I am Nancy Kohli and with me is Anil Thomas. Good morning, Anil. How are you doing this morning?
Doing very well, and it's a great day. Let's wait and watch how things
Absolutely.
pan out for the next 60 minutes.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we'll be getting you all the updates from across the country, world, sports and business updates. And in fact, our focus is also going to be on the 6 mega projects that will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi in Uttarakhand today. And also importantly, the EC team is going to be visiting Bihar. We'll get you all the updates on that and much more lined up for you in the next 1 hour.
Well, September 29th is celebrated world over as the World Hearts Day, especially this particular year. The pandemic, COVID-19, has taken all the headlines in the health sector. But remember, this cardiovascular disease or, cardiovascular diseases account for almost 31% of the global deaths that take place across the globe. So it's very serious. And on this World Hearts Day, please take care of your hearts. Use your heart to protect yourself against cardiovascular disease. So go for regular checkups, eat healthy, stay happy. That's important. As we begin this day at we just past 8 this Tuesday morning, time for us to take a look at the top stories that we're tracking this hour.
Prime Minister Modi to inaugurate 6 mega projects in Uttarakhand under the Namami Gange Mission today through video conferencing. The Prime Minister to also unveil a book titled Rowing Down the Ganges. He'll also be inaugurating the Ganga Avlokan, the first of its kind museum on River Ganga.
Election Commission team to be in Bihar on a 3-day visit from today. The team to oversee poll preparations and hold discussions with police and state poll officials along with political parties. Election Commission likely to announce poll schedule for by-polls for various assembly constituencies across the country.
The fight with COVID-19 continues as India records over 50 lakh recoveries, around 100% increase registered in recoveries in the last 1 month. The global COVID-19 cases crossed 3 crore 35 lakh mark. The WHO to ensure availability of high quality COVID-19 antigen tests to the poor countries.
Union Home Ministry extends ban on NSC and K faction for 5 years, declares it an unlawful association along with all its factions, wings and front organizations.
Bombay High Court likely to decide on the bail plea of actor Riya Chakraborty and her brother Shauvik in the Sushant Singh Rajput death case. Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Rao to file an affidavit in the court in connection with the demolition of actor Kangana Ranaut's office.
And in sports, master of clay court Spaniard Rafael Nadal enters the second round of the French Open in the men's singles category. French players Conchita Moet and Lorenzo Agustino fight it out in the second longest match in the history of French Open for over 6 hours. Agustino wins the match in 5 sets.
Absolutely important developments that will be taking place through the day today, and we'll be getting you all of that. But first up, our focus is on Prime Minister Modi, who will be inaugurating the 6 mega projects in Uttarakhand. Let's get you more on that story. In fact, under the Namami Gange Mission, that's going to be today through video conferencing, and Prime Minister Modi will also be unveiling, like I said, in fact, also the projects. First, let's talk about the projects. Well, these projects include construction of a sewage treatment plant with the capacity of 68 million litres per day, which is an upgradation of the existing 27 million litres per day at Jagjitpur in Haridwar, and the construction of an 18 million litres per day treatment plant at Sarai in Haridwar. The inauguration of the Jagjitpur project also marks the completion of the first sewage project taken up on hybrid annuity mode of the PPP. Now in Rishikesh, a 26 million litres per day treatment plant at Lakh shall also be inaugurated. In Munikireti town, the 7.5 million liters per day treatment plant in Chandraveshwar Nagar will be the first 4-story sewage treatment plant in the country, where the limitation of the land availability was converted into an opportunity. Prime Minister Modi will also be inaugurating a 5 MLD treatment plant at Chorpani and 2 treatment plants with the capacities of 1 million liters per day and 0.01 million liters per day at Badrinath. And Prime Minister Modi will also be inaugurating the Ganga Avlokan, the first of its kind museum on River Ganga, dedicated to showcase the culture, biodiversity and rejuvenation activities done in River Ganga. And let's also tell you, a book, Rowing Down the Ganges, co-published by the National Mission for Clean Ganga and Wildlife Institute of India, will also be launched at the event. Now, the logo of Jal Jeevan Mission and Margdarshika for Gram Panchayats and Pani Samitis under Jal Jeevan Mission will also be unveiled by Prime Minister Modi.
But for more on that story, Arun Sharma, correspondent, now joining us this morning. Arun, good morning. Arun, looking at this particular completion of these projects, these 6 that come along with the already existing ones, so almost 30 projects getting completed. How does it take care of pollutions, especially when it comes to those towns that are around the river Ganga, especially in the state of Uttarakhand?
Well, that's right. So 17 towns primarily on the banks of river Ganga when we talk about Uttarakhand. And the idea behind the sewage treatment plant is that so that the water wastage can be stopped from flowing into river Ganga. So yes, close to 17 towns of Uttarakhand are there as far as the banks of river Ganga is concerned, and that's the reason why either by upgrading the existing infrastructure of the sewage treatment plant or by construction of the new sewage treatment plant, it will play an important role in achieving the target of Clean Ganga Mission. Second important part is that this STP is also being developed on a religious tourism site like Badrinath. We know this fact that there are 4 dham in Uttarakhand, that is Kedarnath, Badrinath, Gangotri, Yamunotri. And when we talk about Badrinath, construction of the STPs or this sewage treatment plant plays an important role as far as Clean Ganga Mission is concerned. Okay. On the other side, when we talk about in Chandreshwar, in Chandreshwar area, the point is that we know this fact that in Uttarakhand, it's a hilly region and construction of STP is not so easy. So yes, a 4-story building has been created as far as Chandreshwar town is concerned. Over there, this STP has been created in the area of approximately 900 square meter. 30% less space consumed as far as this STP is concerned. So when we talk about the MLDs, that means the million liter per day concept. So these primarily 30 projects that are going to be that are primarily completed will be in a position to clean more water so that less polluted water will be flowing in River Ganga, and in this manner we'll be in a position to achieve the Clean Ganga Mission going forward.
Yes, Arun, very important. These projects are going to be very significant because this will take care of the state's need for the next 15 years is what we are learning, and of course, in fact, enhancing the city's treatment sewerage capacity as well. So in that context, very important these projects, and also important going to be the Ganga Avlokan, the first of its kind museum that will also be in fact showcasing the culture, biodiversity and rejuvenation activities done in the river.
Absolutely. We know this fact that entire Uttarakhand region primarily is a big tourist destination as well for the mountain lovers, primarily be it the foreign tourist or the domestic tourist. And when we talk about the Ganga Avlokan Museum, it will be showcasing various culture, various biodiversity as far as Ganga is concerned. Ganga primarily flows from 11 states, primarily small and big states. And when we talk about Uttarakhand, close to 100 kilometers of length of Ganga is flowing in Uttarakhand. So yes, Uttarakhand is an important destination as far as River Ganga is concerned. There are various cultural aspects related to River Ganga. So when a tourist who is coming here to visit Uttarakhand, he'll be in a position primarily in Haridwar to visit and to know more about River Ganga. What is the origin of Ganga? What exactly are the states whereby the various cultural aspects are related to River Ganga. All that will be showcased on that part. Second important aspect, Nancy, is that 80% of the polluted water that is being flowing into river Ganga is in the belt of Rishikesh and Haridwar. Now Rishikesh and Haridwar is also an important tourist destination, and it is also a religious tourist destination.
Absolutely.
So yes, by these projects it will play an important role in boosting the Clean Ganga mission.
Arun, since you mentioned that that Rishikesh Haridwar stretch, that contributes almost 80% of the waste water load that flows into the Ganga. Is this particular inauguration of these projects, are they going to be game changers, especially when it comes to that particular stretch between Haridwar and Rishikesh?
Absolutely. Since we know this fact, not only religious tourism but also adventure tourism. There was a time when Rishikesh was also known for its adventure tourism, and even today people go to Haridwar, Rishikesh for kind of adventure tourism, for mountain climbing, and for various other adventure tourism. So yes, it was very much important to ensure that Ganga can be cleaned in this belt of Rishikesh and Haridwar. There are gradually various industrial units also being set up as far as river Ganga is concerned. Various household water, industrial waste that is coming in and flowing into the water. To stop all this water wastage, it is very much important to create STPs going forward. That means sewage treatment plant. Now these sewage treatment plants, the capacity has been increased going forward. So that's an important part. So now less polluted water will flow into river Ganga, and Uttarakhand is one of the origin states of river Ganga. So if in case you're in a position to clean the river Ganga in Uttarakhand itself, going forward it will be very much easier in other states as well to ensure that Nirmal Ganga, Aviral Ganga can be ensured. And in that aspect of Nirmal Ganga, Aviral Ganga, today's initiative of the inauguration of these STPs will play an important role as far as Namami Gange Mission is concerned.
Absolutely.
Also a quick word, considering that projects being launched, there is also a museum that gets launched. Also, there is a book that has been launched. The significance of this particular book, rowing down the Ganges, because it's going to be co-published by the National Mission for Clean Ganga as well as the Wildlife Institute. The significance of both collaborating together, and also the significance of this particular book coming out on this occasion.
Absolutely. So we know, as I mentioned earlier also, that close to 11 states that what river Ganga covers in length. When we talk about Bihar, in Bihar it covers close to 400 kilometers. When we talk about Uttarakhand, it covers close to more than 100 kilometers. Various towns are being covered. So wherever this river Ganga is flowing, it is having a cultural connect with this river Ganga. Every town has a story to tell, which is situated on the river Ganga. Every state has a story to tell. Bihar must be having different story as far as river Ganga is concerned. Uttarakhand must be having a different story to tell. So this is a compilation of all the aspect and the cultural connect as far as this book is concerned. So in that context, it's an important book, and of course the museum as well.
Oh yes, absolutely. All right, Arun, thanks very much for joining us for the moment and putting all this into perspective for us. We'll of course be in fact getting all that live when it happens at 11 this morning, the 6 mega projects that will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi. Let's now move on to our next story, and Prime Minister Modi and his Danish counterpart held a virtual summit on Monday. Both the leaders held an in-depth exchange of views in a warm and friendly atmosphere on bilateral relations. Prime Minister Modi emphasized on the strong relations between India and Denmark. He said that both the nations shared rules-based, transparent, humanitarian and democratic value system to work together. The tangible outcome of the meeting, besides other deliverables, was the convergence on the green strategic partnership.
A virtual bilateral summit was held between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette Frederiksen, on Monday, hosted by India. In his opening remarks at the summit, Prime Minister Modi said that the events of the last few months have brought forth the need for countries believing in transparency, democratic value system and rules-based order to work together.
पिछले कई महीनों की घटनाओं ने यह स्पष्ट कर दिया है कि हमारे जैसे लाइक माइंडेड देशों का जो एक रूल्स बेस्ड, ट्रांसपेरेंट, ह्यूमैनिटेरियन और डेमोक्रेटिक वैल्यू सिस्टम शेयर करते हैं, साथ मिलकर काम करना कितना आवश्यक है। वैक्सीन डेवलपमेंट में भी लाइक माइंडेड कंट्रीज के बीच कोलैबोरेशन से इस पैंडेमिक से निपटने में मदद मिलेगी।
Prime Minister Modi stressed the importance of the need to have reliable supply chains. He said that the coronavirus pandemic has shown the risk involved in excessive dependence on the global supply chain on any single source. The PM said India is working with Australia and Japan to diversify the supply chain, noting that like-minded countries are welcome to join the initiative.
हम जापान, और ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ मिलकर सप्लाई चेन को डाइवर्सिफाई करना और रेजिलियंस के लिए काम कर रहे हैं। अन्य लाइक माइंडेड देश भी इस प्रयत्न में जुड़ सकते हैं। इस संदर्भ में मेरा मानना है कि हमारी वर्चुअल समिट न सिर्फ भारत डेनमार्क संबंधों के लिए उपयोगी सिद्ध होगी, बल्कि वैश्विक चुनौतियों के प्रति भी एक साझा अप्रोच बनाने में मदद करेगी।
The Danish PM also recalled the historic relations between the two nations and stressed the need to work together to tackle global challenges.
Summit marks for Denmark a milestone on our bilateral relations, on an important and forward-looking agreement on green strategic partnership.
Given the shared desire to remain trusted partners, the two Prime Ministers agreed to elevate India-Denmark relations to a green strategic partnership. The Green Strategic Partnership is a mutually beneficial arrangement to advance political cooperation, expand economic relations and green growth, create jobs, and strengthen cooperation on addressing global challenges and opportunities, with focus on an ambitious implementation of the Paris Agreement and the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Collaboration in the ways and means to tackle pollution problem due to stubble burning was also discussed.
The two Prime Ministers agreed to elevate India-Denmark relations to a green strategic partnership. Our Prime Minister stated that this is a new age partnership and will add a new dimension to our bilateral relations. This will also help to expand economic relations and green growth and strengthen cooperation on addressing global challenges and meet opportunities, with focus on the implementation of the Paris Agreement and the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
The extradition of Kim Devi was also discussed.
Concerned officials on both sides will be in touch with each other, and both sides will work for the early resolution of the issue.
According to official figures, bilateral trade in goods and services between India and Denmark grew by 30.49% between 2016 and 2019, as the trade volume rose from $2.82 billion to $3.68 billion. Around 200 Danish companies have invested in India in sectors such as shipping, renewable energy, environment, agriculture and food processing. The two Prime Ministers confirmed the close partnership in addressing global challenges and solutions on green energy transition and climate change.
But the Defence Acquisition Council meeting held under the chairmanship of Defence Minister Rajnath Singh approved the proposals for capital acquisition of various equipment required by the Indian Armed Forces at an approximate cost of 2,290 crore rupees. Under the Buy Indian category, the DAC approved procurement of static high-frequency trans-receiver sets and smart anti-airfield weapon. The high-frequency radio sets will enable seamless communication for the field units of Army and Air Force. The smart anti-airfield weapon, being procured at approximate cost of 970 crores, will add to the firepower of Navy and Air Force. Further, to equip the frontline troops of the Army, approval was accorded for the procurement of the 6-yard assault rifles at a cost of approximately 780 crore rupees.
Moving on now, the Election Commission team will be on a 3-day visit to Bihar from today to oversee the poll preparations. The Election Commission team will reach Patna this evening and hold meetings with the state police officials and the State Election Commission officials. The team will then be going to Gaya on the 30th and hold discussions with the political parties. The Election Commission is also likely to announce today the schedule for the Assembly by-elections. And let's get in more updates on the Election Commission team's visit to Bihar. Let's go across now to correspondent Salman Haider. Salman, good morning. You know that EC team, of course, going to be visiting there in Bihar to oversee the poll preparations. Just put this into perspective for us, how significant this visit is going to be ahead of the elections there in the state.
As you know, Bihar is a big state, Nancy. So a 7-member team is coming today to review all preparations here. and it will review the logistic arrangements like training of poll personnel, arrangement of polling booths, among other things. And as you know, COVID challenge is also there, so they will ensure that the poll is held in a changed environment like social distancing, masking of people, and hand washing, and all other arrangements which are being made. On the other hand, the team will also meet individually with the representatives of the political parties, citizens, bodies, and other people. Besides having a meeting with the state election officials, police officials, and will also review the law and order situation, especially in Naxal affected areas where poll is being held simultaneously, and different arrangements security personnel will be made there. So all those things are there, which the team will go in detail with the local and state level officials. Yes, Nancy.
Okay.
Well, Salman, looking at this particular three-phase elections that you're seeing in Bihar, this is the first in the COVID times. So how big a challenge is it for the state as well as for the election commission to organize elections in these testing times?
Of course, it is a big challenge, and the commission as well as the election machinery of the state is ensuring that no one would violate the SOP of COVID as such, and they are trying their best to ensure that the political parties, even in political gatherings, the norms are not violated. But as you know, when the frenzy is there, election frenzy is there, and political meetings are there, it remains to be seen that how these challenges will come up and how the machineries will cope up with it. Yes, Anil.
Okay.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us. We'll come back to you for more updates on the story as the Election Commission team, the 7-member team, visits Bihar for the next 3 days. Thank you once again. Salman Haidar, correspondent, joining us.
Yes, let's now move on to some other news. The Home Affairs Ministry has extended the ban for another 5 years on the National Socialist Council of Nagaland Khaplang, along with all its factions, wings and front organizations. The Home Affairs Ministry has declared it an unlawful association for another 5 years. And in some other news now, the former Assam Chief Minister Syed Anwar Taimur passed away in Australia yesterday. 83-year-old Syed Anwar Taimur had been ailing since long. She was the only woman Chief Minister of Assam for the period of 6th December 1980 to 30th June 1981. She held the charge of Public Works Department, the Minister of Assam from 1983 to 1985. She was also elected as an MLA from Congress to the Assam Assembly in 1972, 1978, 1983 and 1991. In 1988, she was nominated as the Member of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha. She was residing in Australia with her son for the past few years. The Assam Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal has condoled the demise of Saida Taimur. And in a tweet, he's also said, I quote, saddened by the sudden demise of former Chief Minister of Assam, Syed Anwar Taimur, praying for the departed soul, I offer my heartfelt condolences to her family and well-wishers, unquote. Prime Minister Modi has also in fact condoled her demise. In a tweet, he said, condolences to the family and the well-wishers of the former Assam Chief Minister, Syed Anwar Taimur ji. Her contributions towards Assam's development will be remembered. May her soul rest in peace, unquote.
Well, moving to the state of Maharashtra, and the Bombay High Court is likely to decide on the bail plea of actor Riya Chakrabarti and her brother Shauvik in the Sushant Singh Rajput death case today. In another development, the Narcotics Control Bureau on Monday has denied ill-treating arrested drugs case accused Kshitij Ravi Prasad. In a press release, NCB termed the allegations in this regard as mischievous and completely untrue. NCB said it had come across a news item purportedly quoting Satish Shinde, the advocate for Prasad, about the accused being ill-treated in its custody. Prasad was arrested on Saturday for questioning in the drugs case linked to Bollywood actor Sushant Singh Rajput's death. He is in the NCB custody till October 3rd.
Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Raut will be filing an affidavit in the Bombay High Court in connection with the demolition of actor Kangana Ranaut's office. Kangana Ranaut and the BMC have already concluded their arguments. The Bombay High Court has said that there is something absolutely fishy in the matter while questioning the BMC officer in charge of the demolition of actor Kangana Ranaut's bungalow. The BMC has also submitted the mobile phones of the BMC official who claimed to have taken the photographs on 5th September of the construction. The photos were compared by the court.
Well, the government has accorded approval for procurement of 13.77 lakh metric ton of pulses and oilseeds for Kharif marketing season 2020-21 for the states of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Telangana and Haryana. For the other states and union territories, approval was also be accorded on the receipt of proposals for Kharif pulses and oilseeds, and procurement will be made as per the price support scheme if the market rate goes below its MSP. 5,637 metric ton paddy at a minimum support price of 1868 rupees per quintal has been procured from farmers of Haryana and Punjab till the 27th of September, while procurement of paddy for the remaining states commenced on Monday. Procurement of cotton for the season 2020-21 will commence from the 1st of October. Meanwhile, the National Cooperative Development Corporation, the apex financing organization of the Union Agriculture Ministry, has sanctioned the first installment funds amounting to 19,444 crore rupees to the states of Chhattisgarh, Haryana and Telangana for Kharif paddy procurement under the minimum support price operations. The amount has been sanctioned to assist the states and the state marketing federations in undertaking paddy procurement operations in a timely manner through their respective cooperative organizations. Chhattisgarh gets the highest amount. This proactive step by the NCDC during the COVID pandemic will give the much needed financial support to farmers of these three states, who nearly account for 75% of the production of paddy in the country. The timely step will help the state agencies start procurement operations immediately. It will provide the much needed support to farmers to sell the produce at the government notified minimum support price.
And let's now take a look at the details of the state-wise payment made to farmers in the Kharif season 2019-20 and also the projected figures for the Kharif season in 2021. Well, there you have it. Andhra Pradesh, the payment made to farmers around 8,777 crores and the projected figures around 11,000. Let's move on now to Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Chhattisgarh, and there you have those figures as far as payment already made and projected figures in 2020-21. Well, that's as far as the procurement scenario in the Kharif season, that is. Okay, let's move on now to Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh and West Bengal. There you have those figures for you, the payment made to farmers and also in fact the projected figures in 2020-21.
Well, time now to take a look at COVID-19 numbers. India's fight against COVID-19 gets strengthened by the fact that the rate of recovery is continuously rising. Number of total recoveries in India goes past the 50 lakh mark, with the recovery rate further going up to 82.58%. Over 11 lakh recoveries have been recorded in India in the last 10 days. Well, Nancy, after a look at all that's happening in India, it's time now to take a look at all that's happening across the globe.
Absolutely. Let's now move on to our next section where we bring you all the news from across the globe. And first up, a look at the updates on COVID-19 from across the world. The death toll across the world has surpassed the 10 lakh mark. And as per the latest update, around 10 lakh people have lost their lives worldwide due to COVID-19, while over 3.35 crore have been affected by COVID-19 worldwide. As many as 2.48 crore people have also recovered from the virus so far. The US still continues to top the global tally, being the worst hit country by the pandemic so far. The US has the highest number of cases with over 73.58 lakh infected and more than 2 lakh deaths due to COVID-19. And in terms of death toll, Brazil stands second on the tally with over 1.42 lakh deaths. Now there are more than 47.48 lakh cases of COVID-19 in Brazil.
US President Donald Trump has announced that the government will distribute 150 million rapid tests to states this week. Trump said 50 million tests will go to the most vulnerable communities, including nursing homes, assisted living facilities, home health and hospice care. He further added that 100 million tests would be given to states and territories to support efforts to reopen the economies and schools as fast as they can. Nearly 1 million will be sent to historically black colleges and universities and tribal nation colleges. Trump also said that 6.5 million tests will go out this week and the rest in the coming week. The rapid tests announced by Trump were purchased from Abbott Laboratories in August for sending to governors of states and territories to support school reopening and other critical tasks.
The UK government has tightened restrictions on socializing in parts of northeast England in response to high and increasing COVID-19 infection rates in the region. From tomorrow, residents in 7 areas, including urban centres such as Newcastle, Gateshead, Sunderland and Durham, will be barred from socializing indoors with people from outside their household or strictly defined social bubble. The restrictions will apply in homes, pubs and restaurants, and people who fail to comply will face fines enforceable by the law. However, schools and workplaces will not be affected by the restrictions. The UK has the highest death toll from the virus in Europe at over 42,000.
The World Health Organization has announced a set of agreements to make available affordable, high-quality COVID-19 antigen rapid tests for low and middle-income countries. According to the deal, 120 million rapid diagnostic tests for COVID-19 will be made available at a maximum of $5 per unit. Drugs manufacturers Abbott and SD Biosensor have agreed with the charitable bill and the Melinda Gates Foundation to produce 120 million of the tests. The tests, which can provide results in between 15 to 30 minutes, are to be rolled out globally, including to 133 lower and middle income countries starting from October.
Have been developed between 2 manufacturers and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which will make 120 million of these new highly portable and easy to use rapid diagnostic tests available over a period of 6 months. Currently, they are priced at a maximum of $5 per unit. Thank you, Katerina.
Now in the US, Northern California's wine country was on fire as strong winds fanned flames in the already scorched region, destroying homes and prompting overnight evacuation orders for more than 50,000 people. The residents of the Oakmont Gardens Senior Living Facility in Santa Rosa boarded brightly lit city buses in the darkness overnight, some wearing bathrobes and using walkers. They also wore masks to protect against COVID-19 as orange flames marked the dark sky. The fire threat has forced Adventist Health Saint Hospital to suspend care and transfer all the patients elsewhere.
In Catalonia, dozens of separatists gathered at Parliament grounds in Barcelona to register their protest against the latest ruling of Supreme Court upholding the regional leader Quim Torra an 18-month ban from public office on charge of disobedience. Police carrying shields and weapons dispersed the protesters. Meanwhile, Torra, in a televised message on the Supreme Court ruling as politically motivated to overthrow the Catalan government amid the upcoming elections in the country.
And with that, we are heading into a short break here, but after that, we'll come back and get you all the sports news. Stay with us.
Well, let's begin our sports segment by taking a look at the second Grand Slam that's now turned into the last Grand Slam of the year, the French Open that's begun this week. 12-time French Open winner Spain's Rafael Nadal started his French Open campaign at Roland Garros with a 3-set straight win over Belarusian Igor Grimisov. Nadal wrapped up the match in straight sets 6-4, 6-4, 6-2 in 2 hours 5 minutes against the world number 83, who was making his main draw debut in Paris. In other men's singles match, our Austrian third seed Dominic Thiem started his campaign with an easy win. The US Open champion Dominic moved into the second round in straight set 6-4, 6-3, 6-3 win over Croatian Marian Cilic. Thiem will play American qualifier Jack Sock in the next round. Well, in the women's singles, Serena Williams began a quest for a 24th Grand Slam singles title with a hard-fought win over Christine Ahn in the French Open first round. 6-seeded Williams overcame a rusty start to beat her fellow American Christine Ahn in straight sets 7-6, 6-0. In another match in the women's draw, Czech player Petra Kvitova eased into the second round of the French Open in a straight sets win with a scoreline over Frenchman Oceana Dodin 6-3, 7-5.
And well, an ordinary match turned out to be a historic game that lasted 6 hours and 5 minutes, making it the second longest ever match in the history of the Roland Garros. French player Corentin Moutet and Lorenzo Agostino were against each other in round 1 of the French Open. And as this happened on the very first day makes it even more fascinating. The match saw a total of 459 points won by both the players collectively. Agostino defeated the Frenchman 0-6, 7-6, 7-6, 2-6 and 18-16. While the match turned out to be the 4th longest match in the history of Grand Slams and the 2nd longest match in the Roland Garros, it was also the first win of Agostino at a Grand Slam.
Well, after a look at all the sporting stories, it's time now to take a look at all the stories making headlines on the World Wide Web and on social media. Time now to take a look at our web news review.
And for the web news review, let's go across now to our colleague Abhishek.
Good morning, Nancy, and good morning, Anil.
Good morning, Abhishek.
Today we are starting our news from web with this the Statesman's news, which says that RBI has deferred its MPC meeting and new dates are likely to be issued soon. The Reserve Bank, in a press release, said that the MPC meeting, which is all-powerful monetary policy committee meeting, which decides on interest rates, which has to begin for 3 days, beginning Tuesday for a bi-monthly monetary policy review, has been rescheduled, and new dates will be announced shortly. Meanwhile, one should also know that the 4-year terms of 3 external members of MPC has ended last month, and they are yet to be replaced by the government. And the rules of MPC, which was constituted in 4 years back in 2016, that rules require at least 4 members to be present at the meeting, with at least one being the governor or his deputy, who is member of the MPC committee. Next news is from Hindustan Times, which says eye on China, India goes for their own tech update missile firing Guardian drones. With the tension along LSE brewing up, India has decided in favor of weaponized MQ-9B Sky Guardian drone from the US and to upgrade its existing Israeli Heron fleet with satellite communication capability in an attempt to enhance its range. At the same time, the face-off between the two armies has also ensured that the DRDO to start manufacturing short-range tactical drones as well as anti-drone systems to boost border defense. So all geared up. The Indian Express has made news that from bytes to bytes, startups are using artificial intelligence for instant quality check of farm produce. This benefit isn't available to the other farmers, more so in crops that, unlike milk or sugarcane, are sold through APMC. But now with certain artificial intelligence being used by some at a very pilot level or very basic level, the quality of produce can be easily assessed and their pricing can also be gauged and it can be decided with a very short time duration being invested in that, and that will give farmers a lot of benefit and the traders and all those buyers also a lot of confidence what they are going to buy. So use of artificial intelligence reaching to every sphere of our life, including agriculture and produce. The next news is from the Pioneer, which says the upcoming G20 meeting, which is scheduled to be held in Saudi Arabia. It will be held through virtual mode on 20 and 21st November. The kingdom had originally planned to host world leaders for the G20 summit in Riyadh before the pandemic, offering Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman the chance to share handshake and wild smiles. Instead, the planned virtual meetup announced Monday strips the kingdom of the pomp, and that would have accompanied television arrivals of Riyadh's tarmac. A lot of these show-offs, a lot of these meetings or personal warm-up calls are being denied with the kind of pandemic situation around the globe, and
on there who's giving us an update on what's happening on the world wide web. Well, time now to move to our next segment, that's taking a look at your health. Well, Nancy, what do we have in health today?
Yes, absolutely. Very important, Anil, today, because today we are going to be focusing on the significance of nutrition. Well, how nutrition is so important, and how does that work as food at work in the body, how we need a variety of nutrients to be healthy. Different nutrients have different functions, of course, and our correspondent Kiran Bhardwaj spoke with nutritionist Nilanjana Singh about the importance of nutrients that are required by the body in greater amounts. Take a look at this report.
Nutrients can be divided mainly into two groups, macronutrients and micronutrients. What are macronutrients and why do we need them? Let's understand from nutritionist Nilanjana Singh. Nilanjana ji, what are macronutrients and how do they help us in staying healthy?
The macronutrients which are needed by our body in fairly large amounts and playing very important roles in well-being. The macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins and fats are known popularly for the energy providing and body building roles that they play. What is not common knowledge is that they play a part in supporting immunity and mental health, which is so relevant today. Water is another vital macronutrient for our body's functioning, and we can gauge the importance as 60% of our body weight is water.
What kind of diet provide us with the adequate amount of macronutrients?
A wide range of cereals go towards meeting our carbohydrate needs. Be it wheat, rice, bajra, jowar, ragi, it is good to include much variety, but at the same time avoid excessively refined version and its products. Protein sources that are available to us include meat, eggs, milk, yogurt, cheese, paneer, dals, beans, peas, soya. A major portion of our protein needs should ideally be met through plant sources. We are spoiled for choice as far as fats and oils go. There is mustard, soya, sesame, rice bran, peanut, ghee, butter and more. Although oils are essential part of our diet, we should stay within the recommended limits. Maintaining hydration by drinking enough water and healthy beverages.
Include variety of foods in your diet to get macronutrients in good quantity. This will help you to attain and maintain good health. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
Well, so that was a report on the importance of macronutrients and the importance of nutrition in the body, which is so required for the overall functioning and the development of the body. And very important points there that the doctor made, Anil, was of course, how nutrition is so very important, not just for the physical development of a body, but also for our mental health, because these nutrients, of course, supply carbohydrates and of course proteins in adequate quantity as it should be in our diet. And very important, the doctor there was saying, the nutritionist, she was saying how we need to obtain protein from plant sources, and that is the best source available. Of course, we should avoid meat as much as possible. And importantly, she said how maintaining hydration, which is so very important component of a body, that's very
That's most important. Yes,
Yes.
in this testing time, especially in this COVID times that we are all in, we need to take care of our body, because remember, today
maintaining
is also
immunity.
Today is also World Heart Day, as I spoke in the beginning. You live longer and healthier if you have a healthy heart that beats within you. And if you take care of good share of nutrients in your body, it helps you. It prevents heart diseases and other cardiovascular diseases, and that's very important because these are testing times, as I said. And testing times brings out the best in each one
Absolutely.
of us. And it's very important that we take care of our health.
Absolutely. And why nutrients are so very important, because in these testing times our immunity is what is going to be keep us protected from this virus that spread worldwide, the COVID-19 infection. So make sure please that you take care of your health and you take adequate nutrients in your diet, and that will in fact give a boost to your immunity. So stay healthy and stay well, eat healthy is what we will wish for you.
Well, today is September 29th and September 29th, which means we are 273 days into the year 2020. But it's time for us to jog down memory lane. Let's take a look at all the important events in our next segment. Well, time now to take a jog down memory lane and take a look at all the important events that took place on this very day, September 29th.
It was on this day in 1836 Madras Chamber of Commerce and Industry was established. It is a non-governmental industry-led and industry-managed organization whose main purpose is to influence the government policy on economy, trade, commerce and industry. On this day in 1942, Matangini Hazra, an Indian revolutionary who participated in the Indian independence movement, passed away at Tamluk in Bengal Presidency. She was affectionately known as Gandhi Buri, Bengali for Old Lady Gandhi. It was on this day in 1959, Aarti Saha became the first Asian woman to swim across the English Channel. She set a new record by swimming 42 miles in 16 hours 20 minutes, becoming the first and fastest Asian woman to swim across the English Channel. On this day in 1979, Pope John Paul II, a religious leader of Catholic Christians, appealed to the people of Ireland to shun violence and follow the path of peace. Addressing around 3 lakh people during his historic tour of South Ireland, the Pope gave a message of peace.
And let's now move on, take a look at today's weather forecast. Now conditions are becoming favorable for further withdrawal of the southwest monsoon from some more parts of Rajasthan, Punjab and some parts of Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi, Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. During the next 2 to 3 days, a trough runs from a cyclonic circulation over East Bihar to West Central Bay of Bengal of Andhra Pradesh coast and Gangetic West Bengal and coastal Odisha at the lower tropospheric levels. Dry weather very likely over most parts of the northwest India during the next 5 days, and moderate thunderstorm with lightning very likely at the isolated places over Andaman and Nicobar, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Karaikal, Rayalaseema, Kerala and Mahe, South Interior Karnataka, Coastal Andhra Pradesh and Yanam, Chhattisgarh, Vidarbha, Odisha, Gangetic West Bengal, Assam and Meghalaya, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura during the next 12 hours. And a look now at the temperature in your part of the country.
Well, we are at the fag end of our breakfast news, but remember, positive thoughts always help you to progress, and positive helps always help you to, move ahead in life. Look at life, or look at your mind as a garden. When I say look at your mind as a garden, what happens is your thoughts there are like the seeds. They can grow into flowers, they can also grow into weeds. So it's purely, the way you hold your mind. Everybody has a mind, but the mindset, changing mindsets is something that's very difficult, and in today's times, the mindset that you hold helps you succeed in these testing times. So one needs to be very careful of the mindset that
absolutely.
one
in fact,
has
one of the saying goes, Anil,
times.
that the quality of thoughts determine the quality of your life. So yes, please do pay attention to your thoughts. Well, those should really be positive and constructive. And with that, we have come to the end of our show. But before we go, we are leaving you with the glimpses of two beluga whales, were little grey and little white, who took their first swim in a new open water sanctuary home in Iceland. Take a look at those visuals.
Well, Nancy, after a look at that whales, we've still got some more dose of animal addiction today for Watch Out.
Yes,
what else do we have today?
Yes, in fact, we have these glimpses from Peru, where some extremely cute additions have arrived at the Lima Zoo after the recent hatching of two penguin chicks and the birth of baby alpaca. We'll take a look at those beautiful, cute visuals, we are told. Well, in fact, let's also take a look, Anil, at what do these penguin chicks look like. Well, there you have it. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the Breakfast News. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. See you then. We wish you a great day ahead. Thanks for being with us.
Take care. Bye-bye.